All right, pilots, this is Mr. O with the next set of flip notes. This is going to be on layers of the Earth. Indeed, we're going to be talking about what is happening underneath those feet of yours when you stand on this wonderful planet. Before we get there, this is standard 6.E.2.1, and you have 4 valuable tools with flip notes. You have the power to pause this video, which allows you to get your data collection down when you're taking your notes. You're able to rewind this video to hear the information again to gain a better understanding. At some point, you might just find something that's just confusing or unclear to you. Please make a note of it and ask me when we get back to class. And you can always refer back to these when assignments are given this week and next. Remember, flip notes are never graded. However, all your grades come from them. Note collection options, you can either use the Google Doc, which is 6.E.2.1 Layers Flip Note Outline, in Google Classroom. The notes are done in order of the outline. Or you can go old school, get a piece of paper out, write all the information down as you go, whatever you're more comfortable with. But remember, taking notes is not optional. If you like to get good grades in science, the grades come from this information. And then at the end of this, you should have your notes completed, and if you have any questions, you have them written down. Now let's get into 6E.2.1, 4 layers of the Earth, first of all. So you're looking at, we have major layers of the Earth, and then there's a thing called sublayers, which we're going to talk about next. The order of the layers of the Earth that I'm going to give you is from where you're standing down, okay, so, and going towards the center. So the outermost layer of the Earth is called the crust. Okay. After you get past the crust, you will come to a layer called the mantle. And then you would find what's known as the outer core. And then in the innermost part of our Earth is known as the outer core and then the inner core. Obviously, the inner is the inside of the Earth. Outer is outside the inner core. And then mantle. And then we stand on the crust. Okay. So this is what the table looks like here, okay? And this is the order I gave them to you in: crust, mantle, outer core, inner core. And now we're going to talk about one of the major things is, what is it made out of? Now, I'm going to let you know in 6th grade what each layer is made out of. We teach them very general in comparison to what they're actually made out of. So when I talk about the crust, I'm going to say it's solid rock, okay? Even though you can, when you Google this, they'll tell you like silicon and all these different types of rocks that's made up of the crust, which is totally true. But in 6th grade, you just need to know that it is in the solid state and it's a solid rock. The mantle is a liquid, but not really liquid. It's more like a semi-solid, almost like a really like a melted plastic. It's almost super thick, but it's not quite solid, but it's still rock. Okay, so the first 2 are rock, and then the outer core is actually a liquid metal, and this liquid is the same thing as the mantle. It's a super thick liquid. Don't think of it as like water. It's not like that. It's almost like a super thick concrete, almost setting up. And then the inner core is a solid metal ball. Pretty awesome that it goes rock, metal as we go into the inside of the Earth. Okay. So there are also some sublayers in 6th grade that you also have to be aware of. And a sublayer means part of a layer, okay? It's not an entire layer. We have 2 of them that you need to learn in 6th grade, and they're for 2 different reasons. Really, it is what leads into plate tectonics, is why we learn about sublayers. Okay, so we have 2 sublayers known as the lithosphere and the asthenosphere. Okay, and the composition of these, when I give you the composition of these, I'm going to tell you what they're made of, but in parentheses, I'm going to tell you where they're located. Okay, so the lithosphere is located in the crust and the upper mantle, meaning it's the entire crust and just a little bit of the mantle. And the reason why we learn about the lithosphere is because that is what makes up the tectonic plates, which is the unit after the layers of the Earth. And then the asthenosphere is the area just below the plates. So that's also in the upper mantle. It's not the rest of the mantle. It's just this little spot that locates where do the plates sit on. So if you did not know, the entire world is covered in plates and rock, and those are known as tectonic plates. But in layers of the Earth, that sublayer is known as the lithosphere. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we go. Then you have some special things when it comes to layers of the Earth. You have the thickest, thinnest, most least, kind of like the layers that have these special things to them, right? Well, the thickest layer of the Earth is known as the mantle. The thinnest layer of the Earth is known as the crust. The most dense is the inner core, and the least dense is the crust. So the crust has two special ones, right? And if you look at density, the layers of the Earth are based on density, meaning the densest layer is the most inside, and the least dense layer is the most outside. If you remember about density when we just got done talking about it in matter, least dense things float, right? So think about the crust is floating on top of the Earth because it's the least dense, but the most dense metal is in the center because it's sank. Okay. And then we're going to get into a thing called convection currents, and I'll draw more of these. But by definition, the convection currents is a transfer of heat in a fluid by the movement of the fluid itself. It can also be in air. And hot rises, cool falls in a circular motion. I talked about fluid in this because both of the currents inside the layers of the Earth deal with fluids. They don't deal with air. We have convection currents are found in the mantle and also found in the outer core, but they cause two totally different things. In the mantle, they cause plate tectonics to move, which is pretty awesome. And the outer core that creates the Earth's magnetic field. And without that magnetic field, we would not be here. That magnetic field protects us from dangerous UV radiation from the sun. So pretty awesome. And then with the Earth's magnetic field, there is two reasons why we have this magnetic field from Earth. It's first, we have convection currents in the outer core. Remember, the outer core is made out of metal. So the Earth's made out of, inside the Earth's made out of metal, and it's magnetic metal, meaning when it's moving in these convection currents, it's moving this magnetic field around Earth. And then if you remember, Earth rotates on its axis. So these two combination of things creates this magnetic field around Earth. It's almost like a force field from things that can be very harmful to us. And the last thing on your notes, as you travel to the center of the Earth, three things will definitely happen. It will get hotter as you go down, it gets denser as you go down, and pressure will increase. Remember, these are just an overview of where we're going to go. We'll get deeper into it as we get in the next couple of days. If you have any questions, please have them written down. Until I talk to you again, I hope all is well.